Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson pulled out his latest trick play against the Bears. Was he auditioning for this job? Let's talk about it here on Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. It was called Stumble Bum. Shout out Brad Biggs for getting all the info on this one. That was the name of the play that they ran. I think it was late in the third quarter when Goff like fake stumbled, and then Gibbs did like a fake stumble, and the whole sideline was yelling "ball, ball, 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 ball" as if the team was fumbling, and caught the Bears off guard a little bit, threw a touchdown over the top to Sam Laporta. Just one of the latest creative play calls by Ben Johnson as he continues to be a hot name in this coaching cycle. And where did this play come from? What was the inspiration to doing this one? And Johnson apparently noticed on film how hard the Bears go after loose balls and fumbles, which that was kind of the old Matt Eberflus philosophy, right? Like hits principle, go after the football, which not a bad thing, but he kind of noticed like, hey, we could take advantage of that over pursuit and kind of trick them in. You kind of think about it too. It's like, how many guys do you have to get on the same page? Everyone, obviously on the field, executing the play. The sideline, if you listen to the game copy, they're all screaming ball, ball, ball. So somehow in the middle of a drive, it was communicated to players on the sideline like, hey, we're going to run stumble bum here. Be ready to yell out ball after the snap. Get the safeties to cheat forward, and then you throw over the top. Johnson noticed on film from a game last year, it was actually the season opener, Jordan Love dropped the snap, picked up the ball, threw it over the top because the safeties got frozen because they thought it was a loose ball because it was for a second. Used that to their advantage and called that play. And to me, that is next level film study and preparation to just find those little finite details, right? Like when you're watching film, you can notice certain things like, oh, what scheme are they going to run in this situation? Third and long, second and short, all this stuff. Like that stuff is pretty easy to pick up. That is a next level thing. Oh, this clip from week 1 of last year when Jordan Love dropped the snap, the safeties kind of froze. What if we fake did that and then just threw it over the top? I mean, that is pretty creative if you ask me. And obviously not every play is a trick play, but anything you can use to your advantage in those type of situations certainly is going to help you be successful. Dan Campbell had this to say about Ben Johnson's stumble bum play. Quote, Ben, that was one of his brainchilds. We massaged it and worked it. How do we make this better? And then Goff, Gibby, talking about Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta, and the O-line making it work. We cooked it all week, and they did a heck of a job. So it's one thing to kind of notice this, find this, and then it's another thing to, hey, let's go execute it 5, 10, 15 times in practice, make sure we feel good about it, pull it out at the right time, and they did that. And you see new wrinkles every week. They don't all work. They tried a reverse pass with Penei Sewell the last time the Bears played the Lions. That did not work out. He had to just run out of bounds. But you're seeing new things every single week when you watch the Lions. Every time I watch this offense play, not only is it just a crisp, good offense, but you're going to see a new wrinkle, and that's what good play callers do. They're always looking to expand in their bag. Dan Skipper said after the game, the bag is very deep. Jahmyr Gibbs said that he used to be surprised when they would install these new plays. He isn't anymore because it's every single week. So that's what I want with an offensive mind. I want someone who doesn't just rest on his laurels of what his playbook is. I want him to find new things, especially based on the next opponent. And clearly this guy has shown the capability of doing just that. I'm pretty all in at this point. I'm not saying you should not look into other candidates, but if you're all in on Ben Johnson, type me in the comments. I want to pair this guy with Caleb Williams and see where this thing can go. That is my ideal situation right now. If you're with me, type me down below. I thought Peter Schrager had an interesting note talking about that play. He said, Ben Johnson went extra deep into the playbook today. Some stuff we've never seen. Coincidence? Or a bit of showmanship in front of the Bears brass with the owner, president, GM, and thousands of fans all watching at Soldier Field? Either way, hard for the Bears to ignore. And it is an interesting thought and an interesting take from Schrager, because that play in particular, that's one they probably could have saved for a higher leverage situation, right? Like the game was already over. It was already out of reach when they did that. So it does make you wonder, like, is he kind of just, hey, this is something you could have in Chicago if things were to work out between myself and you. Now, on the flip side, there's new wrinkles every week, so maybe that was just one they installed this week and they wanted to pull out in this game. But Schrager does have a point of, like, that felt a little extra considering the opponent, considering the rumors of tying him to the Bears. You had Tom Pelissero earlier in the day with this report as well, saying that Ben Johnson is once again one of the hottest names in the cycle. My understanding is that Johnson is intrigued by the Bears job, and he is going to be willing to listen. There's a ton to like in Chicago with Caleb Williams, tons of cap space, extra draft resources. They're expected to break ground on a new stadium next year. Yeah, we'll see on that. Team president Kevin Warren has tons of connections around the league from his several decades in pro and college football. That's allowed them to get a jump start on the search process. So you've got all these things, and, it's the cliche saying of where there's smoke, there's fire. I at least think there's going to be some mutual interest. Now, whether or not Ben Johnson would be taking this job, I tell people all the time, they interview Ben Johnson, he will be interviewing the Bears probably just as much, if not more, than the other way around, because he's been very selective on what job he is willing or not willing to take. Like last year, probably could have had a couple jobs, went back to Detroit. Like he's shown the willingness to do that. So to me, if he's willing to come here, make it happen. I'm not saying you don't interview other candidates, but if no one else blows you away, this guy feels like the answer in Chicago. Today's show is sponsored by Z-Biotics, and you're going to want to check out this product. You can get 15% off with promo code CHATSPORTS at zbiotics.com/chatsports. I may not drink as much as I used to since I'm a little bit older now, but during the holidays, I like to splurge here and there. Unfortunately, I don't bounce back like I used to the next day. That all changed when I found Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol. Pre-Alcohol is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to drink this probiotic before drinking alcohol, drink responsibly, and get a good night's sleep to feel your best tomorrow. From Thanksgiving feast to New Year's Eve celebrations, this holiday season is packed with events, but don't let the festivities leave you feeling less than merry. Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic can help you savor the night and seize the next day. So stay in the loop. Go to zbiotics.com/chatsports. You can scan the QR code on screen as well. Get 15% off your first order when you use code CHATSPORTS at checkout. You can also sign up for a subscription using my code CHATSPORTS so you can stay prepared no matter the time or the occasion. Z-Biotics is backed with 100% money back guaranteed. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they will refund your money. No questions asked. zbiotics.com/chatsports, code chatsports for 15% off. You think about a potential Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams marriage in Chicago. We heard Johnson last week talk about Caleb. Said, look, the guy is clearly talented. You can hear the ball whistle when he throws. You now have seen him up close twice. If you're Ben Johnson, he's thrown for almost 600 yards and 5 touchdowns in the 2 games against Detroit this year. So he's seen him in person up close a pair of times now. There were a couple clips yesterday from the game when the Bears had the ball when Ben Johnson seemingly was just watching the game. Now he's the OC, so when the Bears are on offense, he doesn't necessarily have something to do 100% of the time, but just kind of, again, something to notice there. Is he keeping a close eye on Caleb? It's hard to know for sure. I'll just say this. Sometimes in life, in sports, whatever it is, you kind of trick yourself. You're like, this is too obvious. Well, sometimes the obvious thing is the right thing. Like, everyone thinks Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams, Bears need to go offense. Just do it. Now, some people have said Vrabel, and I certainly get that argument. He's a no-nonsense guy, and the Bears have a lot of nonsense right now. Like, I've said it. I wouldn't mind that hire. But Ben Johnson feels like the obvious and the correct choice. Just do it. No one's going to blame you in 3 or 4 years if it doesn't work out. Like, I would rather go down swinging with something that makes sense than outthink yourself and do something that doesn't make as much sense, because then you're going to get ripped for that. Like bringing Matt Eberflus back this year, maybe it wasn't fair, but resetting made more sense. I would rather live with that type of thought process and decision making than the alternative. So I would go get Ben Johnson. If he wants the job, you pay him whatever it takes, and then you go to battle and see if it works out. That's what I would do if I was the Chicago Bears. We'll see if it plays out. A couple more weeks here in the regular season. Obviously, we'll see how long Detroit's in the playoffs and when they're able to actually interview him. But he's got to be at the top of the list at this point if you're the Chicago Bears. All right, subscribe and join us. We'll be live this afternoon, 4 o'clock Central Time, just like we are every single Monday. Turn on those notifications so you know exactly when we go live. Sometimes it's like 4:15, kind of just depends on the flow of the day. But we'll be right around 4 o'clock. We have a lot of things to discuss when it comes to the Chicago Bears. All right, something we'll also discuss on live as well is some left tackle options moving forward, and Braxton Jones could still be in the mix. We do have an update here that he suffered a fractured ankle, still undergoing test. Fractured ankle news coming from Rappaport here. Apparently, the fibula, not the tibia, is confirmed as of now. They're still doing tests to see if there's any ligament damage, but if he avoided ligament damage, it's probably the best outcome. It's probably the best case scenario because Pro Football Doc said based on the video, there was a chance there could be ligament damage there, but the initial test apparently show that that is not the case. So that's the difference between 4 months and 8 to 12 months probably. So that's good news for him. That means he'd be ready, probably for OTAs. So that would be a positive. Obviously, he's entering the last year of his rookie contract. Now, I still think, not just given this injury, but just given where you're at on the offensive line, I do think you have to seriously look at left tackle and see if there are potential upgrades. Now, is left tackle as big of a need as the interior? Probably not. You could get by with another year of Braxton Jones. But I don't think that you just go into this offseason. Like, Braxton is 100% our left tackle. I think you got to be open-minded to adding a guy there, whether it's in free agency or in the draft, to upgrade at that position. All right, predict down in the comments who will be the 2025 Bears left tackle. If you do think it'll be Braxton Jones, type BJ, his initials. If you think it's someone else, predict down below in the comments section. We're going to have some free agent and draft targets to look at on today's live show on who could be the Bears left tackle next year if it's not Braxton Jones. So be sure to lock us in for that. Also follow me on Twitter at HGramNFL. Spitting my Bears and NFL and college football takes over there every single day. DMs are open if you want to talk some ball. We'll see you over there, and we'll see you back on this channel this afternoon at 4 o'clock Central Time. Bear down.